All right. Good afternoon, guys on the West Coast. Good afternoon also on the East Coast. I'm your host, Brandon Troy, host and co creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Apologies for the delay. We had a minor hiccup, but we are here. I want to introduce our guests today. Super excited to have them on. As you know, if you were looking at the promos, we do have a guest joining us. So give me 1 second while I give them an introduction. They are the CEO of SiliCon with Adam Savage, otherwise, we'll say formerly known as Silicon Valley Comic Con. I am excited to have on the show Trip Hunter. Bring them on real quick. What's going on, Trip? How you doing?
Hey, Brandon, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
So first and foremost, thank you so much for coming on the show today and squeezing out some time. First off, how are you? I know so much stuff is going out in the world and going on and happening. How are things been?
Oh, things are, we're all doing our best, right? Just trying to make it work. I got kids that are quarantined and home from school and, trying to work from home and not lose my mind.
Indeed, indeed. Uh, as I said, the thing that's interesting and hopping right into Silicon. Can you speak to the origins? I know that in terms of an initial idea, I understand that it started in 2014. I know you guys did your initial show in 2016, and then
Hmm.
as of recently, you had your rebrand. So can you
Hmm.
talk a bit about that brief journey of that
Yeah,
first show
sure.
to now?
Sure. It's kind of an interesting background. We had started a tech company, we a group of folks, and called Fusion IO, and Woz was our chief scientist for this technology, and we were throwing a birthday party for him, and we invited Stan Lee because they'd never met, and Stan came to the birthday, and Woz and Stan started talking and saying we should do a Comic-Con together. That's about it. About 6 months went by and nothing had happened. And then Woz said, I think there are a lot of traditional Comic Cons out there, but what interests me, because he's a technologist, is the intersection of technology and pop culture and how they drive each other and how we have a flip phone because of Star Trek. And he's like, that's what I find interesting. And I think it would be really cool to bring those things together, science, technology, and pop culture together, and mix that audience. And so that was really the genesis of the event. That was our first event in San Jose. And it was bigger than we thought. I think we had 60 or 65,000 people that first year. So we scratched our heads and figured out, well, okay, well, maybe this is a good thing. And we did that for a few years. And I think, Woz just got to a point where he wanted to step back. He, was kind of semi-retirement, and he's like, I still want to be involved in this, but maybe not so front and center. And Adam Savage had always been at our event, and he was one of our best guests, and he loved being there. And I think he really liked the science and tech component to it. And so we asked Adam, hey, would you want to join this merry band of brothers and sisters, and 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 maybe bring a whole new dimension to what the show is about, and by including the maker community. And I think Adam was excited by that because he saw it as a huge platform for makers, which he didn't have. And so yeah, so that's kind of the rebranding, and we changed it to SiliCon with Adam Savage. And it's just unfortunate that this year we couldn't do a physical show, but we're soldiering on. And as we go through this time, we thought, well, what's the value we can provide for the fans and our audience of SiliCon with Adam Savage, and from a virtual perspective. And so we try to do three things. We do a monthly makers workshop, which is really fun. You can purchase a box. You get a physical kit in the mail that has all the things in it. We have one tomorrow with Beverly Dowden, who is just an incredible costume maker, and we're going to be making the cradle from Mandalorian, which will be super fun. And so we're trying to do that. We're trying to do some panel discussions. Ernie Klein is going to be Our next panelist, that's going to be next week. He just approved today, so we don't have a lot of time to promote that. And some meet and greets, and just try to keep the content flowing. It's not really, and I say this, it sounds so cheesy to say it, but it's not really about making money at this point. We're trying to subsidize as much of what we're doing, and just keep people entertained, because everybody's stuck at home and everybody's looking for something to do. And so that's kind of our plan.
Gotcha. And to jump off of that, and it's actually a great, platform to the next idea is, I understand in terms of, your strategy in terms of bringing this event to fruition, just that idea of investing in your audience. So I find it, fascinating that, with the focus of science and technology, that we're in this position in terms of trends that we're seeing with a lot of our con community, our con culture, so to speak. And can you speak to that, and also just that mission, just as you said, of having that focus, something that you don't commonly see, in a lot of your contemporaries in terms of the events that they put on.
Yeah, I mean, I think our audience, I think our location lends itself to a scientific and a show with a science and technology flavor, just because we're in Silicon Valley. NASA and SETI have always been a huge part of our event, and they love that. And then the same people that are coming in cosplay are the software designers, right? Who are working at all the tech companies in Silicon Valley Comic-Con. So in Silicon Valley. So it's really interesting to see that crossover. I mean, one of my favorite stories, and I have so many that have come out of Silicon, SVCC, or Silicon with Adam Savage, is we had a CEO of a big tech company who came to speak, and do a chat, and he came as Hellboy. And it was just so cool to see this like really well-known tech CEO just show up in this killer cosplay costume and get up on stage and deliver, a relatively serious technology, panel discussion as Hellboy. And I love that. I love that fun, that it's not TED, but it's the same caliber of people.
Gotcha. And switching gears, just as we were, just mentioning before, that idea of rebranding, and what you were mentioning before of the fact that Savage had been involved throughout its the show's start, perhaps not on an official basis, but still provided his support to the show. What would you say that the the change to what you have now, that rebranding, would you say is doubling down of being able to highlight that focus in technology and in being a maker, or would you say that it was something that, I mean, as you said, he had been involved, up to that point, but would you say that played a part in it, or it was something else?
No, I think it will play a part in it. I mean, Adams has such a huge, let's face it, he's the king of makers, right? And his following is incredibly loyal, and there are people that appreciate all of the other elements that are involved in our event, but are also makers, and we've never embraced the maker community before. I mean, I used to be a cabinet maker. I'm consider myself a maker. I'm constantly building things, and so that's in me too. So when we approached Adam and said, would you want to create a platform, so we have these 4 pillars instead of 3 that support the show, he's super excited about that. And the response so far, I think, from the maker community has been really strong. Now, granted, we're still kind of finding our way in a virtual event, because we're not just about meet and greets, and there are a lot of shows that are doing a good job doing that. And so we're trying to bring a different level of content, to our audience, and that's what the monthly maker workshops are. And so we're just constantly looking for ideas to do that. But it's really fun to have a whole new dimension of people who are interested in our show.
Awesome, awesome. And talking further to that science and technology piece, and having that avenue within your show, can you also speak to just that responsibility of having that element within your show, and the possibility of what it could inspire out of attendees in terms of perhaps its legacy of inspiring new makers that we
Yeah,
may,
well, it's not only makers, it's the whole STEM, thing, right?
yes.
And so the one moment that like stands out for me is we had a panel, I think it was last year, it might have been the year before, but it was women in STEM. And
Was
we
this the
had,
daughter? I think it was a young lady about physics, I believe.
yeah, you heard this, but it changed me, right? There was 5 brilliant women in this panel talking about physics and science and technology. And 2 weeks later, I get an email from a 12-year-old girl who said that panel changed my life, and I now want to become a physicist. And if you get one of those, that's, I don't know, that to me meant everything. And our was very adamant when we started this show. He said, I don't want to make these tickets outrageously expensive, right? I was born in Silicon Valley. San Jose is my hometown. This is about giving back. And we've really we've never raised our prices since we started the show. We've been subsidizing the maker workshop kits, to keep the price super low so as many people, can get them as possible. And so we really have, that's kind of very important to us, that people don't look at Silicon Valley Comic Con and think, wow, this is a show that's trying to get us for every last dime. You know what I mean? And I just I try to be true to that, because I think it's really important.
Absolutely, absolutely. And talking further to that, just that idea, as I said, we were talking about the marketing strategy that you could use to bring the show to fruition, and just that idea of thinking outside the box in terms of the niche show that you've created. Can you speak to that too? Because I know you've been quoted as saying not really being that idea, that paraphrasing, not that idea of not being complacent and not resting on your laurels and trying to be innovative and taking risks. So just like you were saying, in terms of this edition of the programs that you've had this year have been going virtual, have there been some additional things that you have also looked into as well, just with that particular mindset?
Yeah, there's so many things that we want to do. We're a pretty small team, and smaller after COVID, which was, it's unfortunate. We just kind of scaled back, and we're running, about as lean as we possibly can, and trying to do events that keep people engaged. And that's really the secret. We do have dates. I'll announce them right now. Nobody's even knows this.
Okay.
We do have physical dates for next year, and that's August
Right.
28, 20, 27, 28, and 29.
Awesome.
So we're planning on being there, and looking forward to having a physical event. If that changes, then that changes again. But that is our hope, that we can continue to do that. And I also put it back to the audience. What are some of the things that you would like us to do? Everybody can do a meet and greet, a 2-minute, virtual chat, and there are a lot of those out there, and we want to do those too, but maybe just with a slightly different group of people, right? Maybe with technologists and astronauts. Our one panel discussion last month was what went into what goes into building a spacesuit for women. It's a very different process, and NASA actually has never built a small spacesuit. So if you were a small person, you had to wear a medium, and then they would stuff it with foam, which made it impossible to move. And so because they didn't want to invest 20 million bucks in the spacesuit, but that's changed now. And so those are the types of conversations that I think are innovative, that we want to bring to our audience, and that our audience cares about. Doesn't mean we don't want to do Mandalorian stuff too. We do, because we're geeks on all on all levels. So
Definitely, and with that idea in mind as well, we're living in the current environment that we're in now with social distancing and all that, and hopefully we know that we will perhaps move back to a time of normalcy where we're able to be around each other. However, with that being said, just similar to the challenges that you faced with the first show of it, being far bigger than you anticipated it being, and being able to pivot and adjust to that, as well as currently now with the environment that we have now, looking forward, perhaps going forward, are there some things that you have pivoted towards in this current environment that you feel that you may still take with you even as you get to a live show?
Well, yeah. I mean, to me, I love this idea of having like full hands-on workshops, and then extending these virtual events and not bridging the gap between the virtual and the physical, right? So what we try to say on all of these things is, hey, well, let's build this. Like last month, Adam, we built this cardboard helmet, if you will, bird helmet. It's super cool. What we challenged people to do was decorate them and bring them to the show next year. And Adam will personally pick 3 winners, and we'll give them each, a $350 to $300 gift certificate to shop at the show. So we're trying to like keep people engaged now, so then they can come show stuff off because that's what it really is about, right? That's what cosplay is about, is showing off your talents and your costume and what you're capable of creating. And so we're trying to help people create now, and then we're trying to give them a stage in which they can show those creations off. And I think beyond just people being at home building their own vision and then coming in and showing it, this will be something where they're like, hey, I participated in that. That was awesome. Here's my creation, and I love that. I think that's pretty cool.
Awesome stuff. So I know, like with any edition of the show, I understand that the wheels are always constantly turning of what you might do for your next show, and I know that you typically think of themes to keep in mind when you're doing each year's show. So with that in mind, are you able? I know you were able to provide the dates here, breaking here first, but are you able also to provide a theme, or is that still kind of being finalized at this point?
Yeah, it's still being finalized. There are a couple different directions that we want to go, and there are a few different opinions. So we're trying to be diplomatic and democratic about how we get there.
Gotcha. Awesome stuff. Well, Trip, thank you so much. Thank you for squeezing out some time, man, to talk about SiliCon. SiliCon, can you tell folks where they can find not just the stuff that we have with the virtual programming workshops, what have you, but also where they can find you?
Yeah, so siliconsj.com is our website, so you can go check that out. And we have we just launched a new website, which was exciting, and we're posting all the things that we are doing up there. We have, like, for all of these workshops, like the one tomorrow, the Beverly Downen one, they're relatively limited to the physical box, just because we have a lot of great sponsors that are like giving us the paint, and those quantities are limited. So for this one, I think it was limited to 150 people, but you can still go online and view it, recorded, and you can purchase. We have extra boxes, and you can purchase those boxes if anybody wants to. I would like to say, Brandon, if you send me your address, I will put a box in the mail to you. Yeah, and then you can go online on demand and watch it and do the build, which will be super fun. And then, hey, let's try to do a little contest. Well, let's work up something so we can give away 3 kits to some of your fans.
Absolutely, absolutely. We will talk off stage, and we can definitely do that. So there
Okay.
you guys have it. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I'm your host, Brandon Choi, host and co-creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. You can find us on Facebook, as always, which you are watching now, live streamed. However, we do encore episodes on YouTube. You can also find us on Twitter at Move and Shake UNLTD, on Instagram at Movers Shakers Unlimited, and of course, you can find me, Brandon Choi ENT, on Twitter, and Brandon Choi _ENT on Instagram. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. Be safe out there, and see you soon. Bye.
Thanks, Brandon. Bye.
Absolutely.